Have you ever spoken up in a meeting and just felt like you were completely on mute?
Oh, yeah. That is such a terribly common feeling, isn't it?
It really is. You are sharing an idea, but you look around and, well, people are checking their phones or they're just staring blankly out the window.
Right, right. It is a terrible feeling.
Yeah. You are physically making sound, but you just feel completely invisible. So, welcome to today's deep dive. Today, we are looking at, the most powerful instrument in the world, and that is the human voice.
It really is the ultimate instrument. I mean, think about it for a second. The human voice is the only tool we have that can start a war or, softly say, I love you.
Wow, yeah, that is a massive range.
And has an incredible amount of power. Yet, as you just mentioned, so many people just walk through life feeling like nobody actually listens to them when they speak.
And today, our mission is to fix exactly that. We are going to explore, step by step, exactly how to speak so that people actually want to listen to you.
I love that mission.
Yeah, and because we are talking about communication, we're going to be very intentional about how we have this conversation today. We are going to slow things way down.
Exactly. Slowing down is key.
Right. We are going to take our time. There is no rushing here. Let's just have a calm, patient discussion and break these ideas down, piece by piece.
That is the perfect approach, honestly. Rushing is actually one of the biggest enemies of clear communication. Taking our time allows the ideas to actually settle for you, our listener.
Absolutely.
So before we can build a really powerful voice, we first need to, clear out the garbage. We have to look at the bad habits we all fall into.
The things that get in the way.
Exactly. There are certain ways of speaking that make people instantly build a wall and just tune us out.
Let's unpack those. I know we can group these into 7 common negative habits, kind of like the 7 sins of speaking, if you will.
The 7 sins, yes.
And the first one is something we honestly see everywhere. Gossip. Speaking badly about someone who is not in the room. But why, psychologically speaking, does that make the listener tune out? Because, we all seem to love hearing gossip in the moment.
We do, right?
Yeah.
We might lean in for a second, but deep down, it completely destroys trust.
Yeah.
The reason people ultimately stop listening when you gossip is actually very simple.
Okay, what is it?
Well, if I am standing with you and you are gossiping about our mutual friend, my brain instantly realizes something. I know perfectly well that 5 minutes from now, when I leave the room, you are going to gossip about me to someone else.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes total sense. It is a clear signal that you are just not a safe person to talk to.
Exactly. You lose all credibility.
It is interesting, too, how gossip often comes from a place of insecurity. We put others down just to feel better about ourselves.
100%.
But that same insecurity often makes us criticize people right to their faces, too. Which actually brings us to the second habit, right? Judging.
Yes, judging is a massive barrier to communication. Imagine you are presenting a new idea to a group. If you look up and see someone looking at you with a highly critical, judgmental expression.
Oh, that is the worst.
It really is. You immediately want to stop talking. It is incredibly hard to listen to someone or to share anything with someone if you feel like they are constantly finding you lacking. You naturally protect yourself. You just close your ears.
Yeah, when you feel judged, you definitely just close off. But even without direct judgment, sometimes just a general dark cloud around a person can make you want to run away.
Yes, that heavy energy.
Right. And that is the third habit, isn't it? Negativity.
Negativity is exhausting. It just drains the energy right out of a room. I always think of this one specific story about a mother who had just become incredibly negative over the years.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, one morning, her child walked in and cheerfully said, "It is October 1st today." Just a very simple, happy fact. And the mother simply sighed and replied, "I know, isn't it dreadful?"
Wow. Seriously, finding the absolute darkest cloud in a perfectly blue sky.
Exactly. And if you are around that kind of energy all day, you just stop listening to protect your own mood.
You really have to. And that ties right into the fourth habit, which is complaining. Complaining is practically a national sport in some places.
Oh, definitely.
People complain about the weather, the traffic, the news. But what is the actual difference between pointing out a problem and just complaining?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
The difference is the goal. Pointing out a problem is the first step to actually fixing it. Complaining, on the other hand, is just Viral misery.
Viral misery.
Yeah, viral misery. It spreads negative, heavy feelings, but it does not actually fix a single thing. It does not spread any sunshine or lightness. When someone complains constantly, it is like they are handing you a heavy weight to carry.
Oh, I see.
And eventually you just have to put that weight down and walk away.
Viral misery. That is such a brilliant way to describe it. It is just infectious sadness. Okay, so moving to the fifth habit. This is one that really bothers me, making excuses.
Ah, yes. The people who refuse to take responsibility.
Right. I always call this specific personality type the blame thrower.
A blame thrower. I really like that visual.
Yeah, instead of a flamethrower is a blame thrower. Or you can think of it like a game of hot potato.
Like the kids' game.
Exactly. When a mistake happens, it is like a burning hot potato lands right in their lap. But instead of holding on to it and saying, yes, this is my fault, I will fix it, they just frantically toss it to anyone else nearby.
That is a very accurate analogy.
Yeah.
When someone constantly throws the blame to everybody else, it just becomes impossible to respect their words.
Totally.
Now, the sixth habit is exaggeration. Sometimes people call it embroidery. This is when we add fake, dramatic details to a story to try and make it sound more exciting than it actually is.
Oh, I think we do that a lot because we are just desperate to capture people's attention. Attention spans are so short these days.
That is exactly why we do it.
So we start calling completely ordinary things awesome or unbelievable. But that really demeans our language, doesn't it? I mean, if a cup of coffee is awesome, what word do we use to describe the ocean?
That is a very profound point. We water down the meaning of our words. And the real danger with exaggeration is that over time, it simply becomes lying.
Right, because it isn't true anymore.
Exactly. If you exaggerate everything, people realize your words do not match reality. So they simply stop believing you.
Which brings us to the final negative habit. The seventh one is dogmatism. Let's really break down what that actually means in a daily conversation.
Sure. Dogmatism is, at its core, confusing facts with opinions. It happens when someone bombards you with their personal opinions, but they speak with such force that they present those opinions as absolute, undeniable truths.
Oh, I have definitely met people like that.
We all have. They leave zero room for you to disagree. When someone talks to you like that, they are not actually having a conversation. It feels like you were just standing in the wind being blown backward.
Right, because there is no space for the listener at all. So if we are doing any of these things, gossiping, judging, spreading negativity, complaining, making excuses, exaggerating, or acting dogmatic, we are actively pushing our listeners away.
Yes, we are building a wall.
So we have to clear those out. But simply stopping a bad habit leaves kind of an empty space. We have to replace those negative habits with something positive. Right?
We do. We need a strong, positive foundation to stand on. If we want our words to have real power, we need to build them on 4 specific cornerstones. And luckily, they spell a word to help us remember them easily.
Oh, perfect. What is the word?
The word is hail, H-A-I-L, which historically means to greet or acclaim enthusiastically.
Okay, let's slowly walk through that HAIL framework. The H stands for honesty, right? So this means being true, straight, and clear in what you say. No hidden tricks.
Exactly, straight and clear. And the A stands for authenticity. This simply means being yourself. It is about standing in your own truth. You do not try to sound like your boss or, a famous actor. You just sound like you.
I want to pause on authenticity for just a second because, just be yourself sounds great on a motivational poster, but how does that actually work in a professional environment?
What do you mean?
Well, I can't always act exactly how I feel at home when I am sitting in a formal boardroom.
Ah, that is a very fair distinction. Authenticity does not mean oversharing or being unprofessional. It just means your core values remain the same no matter where you are.
Okay, that makes sense.
You don't put on a totally fake personality. You remain grounded in who you actually are, and you are just adjusting the volume for the specific setting you are in.
Grounded in your values, but adjusting the volume. I like that a lot. Okay, so moving on, the I stands for integrity.
Integrity means being your word. It means you actually follow through and do the things you say you are going to do. Mm-hmm. If you tell someone you will help them, you actually help them. It is honestly the fastest way to build deep trust.
Because if your words are just empty promises, they lose all their weight. People learn very quickly to just ignore what you say.
Yes, exactly. And finally, the L stands for love.
Love in everyday communication.
Yes, love. Mm-hmm. Now, we do not mean romantic love here. We mean love in the sense of sincerely wishing people well, wanting the absolute best for the person you are talking to.
I have to push back on this a little bit, especially when we combine honesty and love.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, if I practice absolute honesty, I might walk into the office and tell my coworker, "You look terrible and exhausted this morning." I mean, that might be factually honest, but it is not very loving. How do those two concepts actually work together without causing a mess?
That is a fantastic challenge, and it is exactly why love is the final essential piece of this foundation. Absolute, brutal honesty without love is really just cruelty.
Oh, wow. That is true.
Love acts like a filter for your honesty. If you genuinely wish that coworker well, you won't just insult their appearance. Your honesty becomes constructive. You might say instead, "You seem like you have been working incredibly hard. Can I take something off your plate?"
Ah, I see. The love shapes the honesty so that it lands safely.
Precisely. And furthermore, if you're truly wishing someone well, it is almost impossible to judge them at the same time. Love protects you from falling back into that old negative habit of judging.
That is incredibly helpful. So we have our positive foundation: honesty, authenticity, integrity, and love. Hail. This basically covers what we should say.
Right.
But this is where the actual mechanics get really fascinating for me. Having good intentions is great, but how we physically push the air out of our bodies completely changes how those words are felt by the listener.
It changes absolutely everything. We all have this incredible physical vocal toolbox built right into our bodies, but most of us never even open it. We speak in the exact same voice all day long, whether we are ordering a cup of coffee or giving a heartfelt speech.
Let's open that toolbox right now and explain how these physical tools work. What is the very first tool?
The first tool is register. This is all about where your voice physically originates inside your body. You can actually move it around.
Move it around.
Yes. For example, if you speak up high, forcing the air up through your nose, it sounds very thin and sharp.
Let me try that. Oh, yeah, I can feel that when I try it. It vibrates right behind my nose. It feels very light and almost squeaky. Most of us usually speak from our throat, right? Just a normal middle ground.
Yes, the throat is the natural default for most people. But if you want to give your words real weight, depth, and authority, you need to go lower. You need to speak from your chest. You can actually feel your chest vibrating when you do this. The sound just becomes much deeper and more resonant.
Okay, that shift to the chest voice makes sense for showing authority. But I have noticed when I try to lower my voice intentionally, I just sound artificially gravelly, like a superhero in a movie. How do we find that chest register without sounding totally fake?
It is not about forcing your throat to make a low, scratchy sound. That will just hurt your throat. It is about breathing deeper into your stomach and letting your chest cavity act as a natural echo chamber.
An echo chamber.
Right. It takes a little practice to relax into it. Interestingly, people often naturally vote for politicians with lower voices because we subconsciously associate that physical depth with power and reliability.
That is fascinating. We physically feel their authority. Okay, so what is the next tool in the box?
Next is timbre. This is the way your voice actually feels to the listener. People universally prefer voices that are rich, smooth, and warm, like hot chocolate.
Let's use an analogy here to make that clear. Think of timbre like the actual material a musical instrument is made out of.
Okay, I like where this is going.
You can have a cheap plastic guitar, and you can have a beautifully carved wooden mahogany guitar. If you play the exact same string on both, the musical note is identical. But the wooden guitar feels much richer, warmer, and more complex. Our bodies are essentially the instrument.
That is a beautiful way to explain it. And the really good news is if you feel like your voice naturally sounds more like that plastic guitar, maybe it is a bit harsh or scratchy, you can actually change it.
Really?
By simply improving your posture, standing up straight, and practicing deep breathing, you literally change the physical shape of your instrument. You can train your voice to become that warm wooden guitar over time.
Posture changes the wood. I love that simple image. Okay, tool number 3 is prosody. Now, this is a technical word, so let's break it down simply for everyone.
Prosody is just the natural sing-song rhythm of your voice. It is the way your pitch gently goes up and down as you emphasize different words. It is the primary way we deliver emotion and meaning in a sentence.
I always think of prosody like punctuation on a written page. If you read a paragraph with no commas, no periods, and no question marks, it is just a flat, confusing line of text.
Exactly.
Without prosody, your spoken words are just totally flat.
Yes, and when people speak entirely on one flat note without any rhythm at all, we call it monotonous, monotone. one tone. It is incredibly difficult for the human brain to pay attention to a monotonous voice for very long.
It puts you right to sleep. But on the flip side of that, there is a very modern habit with prosody that drives people absolutely crazy. It is called uptalk.
Ah, yes, uptalk.
It is when people end every single statement by making their pitch go up, so it sounds like a question, like they are constantly seeking approval.
Yes, exactly like that. And that habit severely damages your authority. When you use that upward questioning rhythm, you are subtly telling the listener that you are not confident in what you are actually saying.
Oh, that makes sense.
You're basically asking them to validate you. If you want people to listen, you need to state your facts as solid statements. Let your voice land firmly at the very end of the sentence.
Land the plane smoothly, keep it grounded. Got it. Okay, let's look at tool number 4.
Next, we have pace. This is simply the speed at which you talk.
This one is very intuitive, I think. If I am really excited and passionate about a new idea, I will naturally start talking very quickly to show that energy. But if I am arriving at the most important part of my message, I can slow right down.
Exactly. Slowing down creates massive emphasis. It tells the listener, hey, pay attention, this part really matters. And at the absolute extreme end of pace, we find another incredibly powerful tool: silence.
Oh, silence. We are terrified of silence, aren't we?
We really are. We feel this overwhelming urge to fill any quiet pause with, But there is absolutely nothing wrong with a few seconds of simple, quiet silence.
It feels like an eternity when you're the one speaking, though.
It does, but to the listener, it is a gift. A pause gives the listener's brain a moment to fully absorb the heavy thing you just said.
It is the space between the notes that makes the music. I love that. Okay, what is the final set of tools?
The final tools are pitch and volume. Pitch is how high or low a specific word is. You can completely change the meaning of a whole sentence just by shifting your pitch.
Let me demonstrate this really quickly. Think about a very simple question. Where did you leave my keys? If I ask it normally, where did you leave my keys? I am just asking for information.
Right, very neutral.
But if I raise my pitch and tighten my voice, where did you leave my keys? Suddenly I sound panicked or even angry. The words did not change at all, but the emotional meaning completely flipped.
That perfectly illustrates the amazing power of pitch. And then finally, we have volume. Getting very loud is a great way to command sudden attention or show excitement.
But nobody wants to be yelled at.
Exactly. And interestingly, if you want people to pay very close attention to you, you can actually get very, very quiet. It forces the listener to physically lean in to hear you. It creates a sudden sense of intimacy and importance.
Making them lean in, that is a really powerful technique for a crowded meeting.
It is. Just a quick note on volume, though. We always have to be mindful of the people around us.
Yeah.
Carelessly imposing our loud volume on others in public spaces is just inconsiderate. We always need to, read the room.
Okay, so we have this amazing physical toolbox: register, timbre, prosody, pace, silence, pitch, and volume. But just knowing how the tools work isn't quite enough, is it?
No, it is not.
If our voice is like a complicated engine, we can't expect it to run perfectly if we just turn the key on a freezing cold morning.
That is so true, especially before a major moment. If you are about to give a big presentation or ask your boss for a raise or even have a difficult emotional conversation with a friend, you really need to prepare the engine.
You have to warm it up.
Yes, you have to warm up your voice so it doesn't fail you when you need it most.
I am ready. Walk me through exactly how we tune the instrument. How do we warm up?
There are 6 simple physical warm-ups.
Yeah.
They honestly only take a minute. The first is basic breathing to just relax the body. You take a deep, deep breath in, really filling your stomach, and then you release it with a big, relaxed sigh.
Ah, wow, that instantly lowers your shoulders. It gets rid of all that nervous tension.
Exactly. Next, we have to wake up the lips. You simply say the letter B over and over. Ba, 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 ba.
Ba, 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 ba.
Great. And then you make a sound kind of like a child playing with a toy airplane. You blow air through your lips to make them vibrate quickly. Brr, brr. Okay, my lips are definitely tingling now. I will say, you probably want to do these in your car before you walk into the building, right? Or maybe in a bathroom stall.
Yeah.
You don't want to be doing this in the elevator with your boss.
Oh, I highly recommend doing these in private. It looks a little silly, but it truly works. So the lips are warm. Next, we have to wake up the tongue. First, you stretch it by saying an exaggerated la 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 la. You can actually feel the muscle stretching in the back there.
Yes. And then the absolute best exercise for the tongue is to roll your R's.
Rrrr.
Vocal coaches actually call that champagne for the tongue. It brings all the tiny nerves right to life.
Champagne for the tongue. That is great.
And finally, the last warm-up is called the siren. It basically stretches your vocal cords all the way from top to bottom. You start with a very high pitch on the word we, and you smoothly slide all the way down to a low pitch on the word ah.
Kind of like a fire engine.
Exactly, like a fire engine siren passing by.
Okay, here we go. We to AWWWW to add WWWWW. I can literally feel the vibration moving from my nose all the way down into my chest.
Perfect. If you do those simple physical exercises, breathing, the lips, the tongue, and the siren, your voice will be warm, clear, and totally ready to perform with confidence.
This has been an incredibly practical journey today. Let's just take a slow second to bring all of these pieces together for everyone listening.
I think a summary is a really great idea.
Okay, so we started by looking at what we must unlearn. We have to clear out those 7 bad habits: gossip, judging, negativity, complaining, making excuses, exaggerating, and being dogmatic. We have to stop pushing people away.
Yes, and once those are gone, we replace them with the strong foundation of HAIL: honesty, authenticity, integrity, and love. This ensures our words are true and well-intentioned.
And finally, we open our physical toolbox. We learn to speak from the chest for more authority. We practice warm timbre. We use the gentle rhythm of prosody. We play with pace, pitch, volume, and the incredible quiet power of silence. And of course, we always remember to warm up the engine before a big moment.
When you look at all those pieces together, it points to a much, much bigger picture. I want you to imagine what the world would look like if we all spoke to each other this way.
It would be so different.
Imagine if we spoke powerfully, with pure honesty and love. Imagine if we consciously listened to the people around us. It would completely transform how we relate to one another. It would be a world where true, deep understanding is just the normal way of living.
A world where true understanding is the norm. That is exactly the kind of world I want to help build. As we wrap up our time together today, I want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought. It is just something to test out today.
I love a good practical test.
The very next time you open your mouth to speak, whether it is to a coworker, a cashier, or a family member, just take one single second to pause and notice your own voice. Ask yourself, are you just making noise, or are you consciously creating a sound that invites people in?
That is a beautiful, beautiful question to reflect on. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and for listening so patiently as we walk through this.
Yes, thank you so much for being here with us. We hope you take these tools and have a calm, thoughtful, and beautifully spoken day. Goodbye for now.